Hello, John Neal here. It's Saturday the 15th of February, and today on Question of Faith, I'm going to be talking to you about, are you ready? Death. Well, if you're still with me, well done. It was, I think Benjamin Franklin was attributed or mostly used the phrase, nothing in this world can be said to be certain except death and taxes. And of course, death is a sad thing. It's a sorrowful time when people die because we don't have them with us anymore. Where we're living here on earth, our existence, somebody's with us, we see them, they're alive, we talk to them, we're with them, and then when they're dead, they're not. So we lose them. And that's a sad thing. I suppose the younger the person is, then the less likely you are to expect them to die. And then, yeah, if they go, then that's a sad thing. If they're much older, for instance, so just this last week, we've had an auntie in our family die, but she was 96. And when we last saw her, she was withered away, basically. Her body had just withered away almost to nothing. And so when she finally died, we thought, well, that's it. That's what was going to happen. Or we can then look back on the fond memories of that person, in this case the auntie, and that's all we have left. But if somebody young dies, and that's happened in maybe many families, then it's a particular sadness because I think the natural order of things would be parents don't generally end up burying their children. Their children shouldn't be dying. It's not the way round it goes. But sometimes it does. And it's a very sad thing. So there's two sides to this. One is that death is extremely sorrowful. There's a separation. But then on this other side, there's a lot to be said for the fact that, and many religions and philosophers have said that death is in fact a new start. It's an opening to a new existence. So I'm going to explore that. If I concentrate, therefore, on life after death, if that's what we're exploring, I'm not saying it is definitely the case or isn't definitely the case or what it is like. That's really up to you to decide. But I would like to start with a particular quote from the Baha'i writings, which always comes to mind when I think of this. And it goes like this. O Son of the Supreme, I have made death a messenger of joy to thee. Wherefore dost thou grieve? I made the light to shed on thee its splendour. Why dost thou veil thyself therefrom? Baha'u'llah. That's taken from the Hidden Words. And there are lots of quotes from other religious traditions as well, echoing the same idea that when we die, it's a great place, it's a new existence, it's heavenly or whatever. Let me take one from Christianity. This is from John chapter 14, verses 1 and 2. Let not your heart be troubled, ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. There are others as well from Islam, from Hinduism, from quotes from lots of other places and indigenous religious groups as well. This is an Eskimo legend. Perhaps they are not stars in the sky, but rather openings where our loved ones shine down to let us know they are happy. This is Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, a Swiss-American psychiatrist, a pioneer in near-death studies and author of the internationally best-selling book on death and dying from 1969. She wrote this: Death is simply a shedding of the physical body, like the butterfly shedding its cocoon. It is a transition to a higher state of consciousness where you continue to perceive, to understand, to laugh, and be able to grow. And the other quote, which I'm very fond of, and this is from the writings of Baha'u'llah: "The world beyond is as different from this world as this world is different from that of the child while in the womb of its mother." I think I've talked about this before. The transition, therefore, from when we are unborn, we're in our mothers, and then we're born into this world, is remarkable. You can't explain that to the unborn child. Likewise, we cannot have it explained to us what it is to die and move into another world spiritually. It's a transition we've been through before. I'm going to link together. I clicked on for a long time with all this. There's so much material here. I've taken ages to collect lots of material, which is the benefit to me. It's enabled me to do this research. But two things came sort of together almost coincidentally. One is the work of a hospice nurse, Julie, Hospice Nurse is a title, in America. And she's been very popular by talking about death in its many aspects, both physically, medically and so on, but also spiritually. The conclusions that she's inevitably come to is the way I see it, that she believes that we go to a better place. And there was one particular instance that she refers to where it was the idea that the spirit of the person was going home. It was a place that they'd been before and they were just going home. And then all of a sudden I find a book, this one called Returning Home, by a Baha'i colleague of mine, Corinne Randall, who's a beautiful artist as well. And she has compiled a book on thoughts, writings from various traditions to do with the end of life. So remarkably, the two ideas of returning home came together. And I do recommend this book wholeheartedly. It is available. I'll put a link down, and I will put a link down for that, and the nurse Julie, the hospice nurse. In fact, she wrote a book, and I'm lazy, so I listened to the audio book of her account of what she had to say on this matter as well. So it's a bit of a quandary that we are all going to die and we've got to pay taxes, and yet, and if our lives run their course over a period of time and we get old, and I'm now, in 2025, this year I'm 75, I've outlived the time of my father already. I said before, I think my mother lived till she was 95. And so we will die. And the older you get, the more you realise that. And it's a time of a lot of thought, really, whatever you may think. But often people don't want to think about it and don't want to consider it. And yet there's a huge amount written about it and the actual experience that nurses, hospice nurses, and those involved in palliative care, that they experience with people who have died, which seem to suggest that there is more beyond the grave than what we might just straight off think about. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. But if you get to look at this book and the work of the hospice nurse Julie in America off of YouTube, then please do so. And if you've any particular comments on this, yes, please get back to me. I'll be fascinated to find out what you have to say, because I'm learning from what you have to say, and I'm learning from the research I've had to do to get this. So I appreciate any response that you may come up with. Okay, thank you very much indeed.